Hello. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I hope you will listen with an open heart and an open mind. My name is Starly Grass. I am the granddaughter of the late Garnet and Elizabeth Jeff, and I am an Anaheim band member. I consider myself a displaced person. My parents left the Chilcotin when I was a child for better educational and employment opportunities, and I haven't returned since for the same reasons. However, I do make time to get to know my culture and the land when I can. It's important for me to understand where I come from and to understand my culture because that's what helps me lead a good life. If you desecrate our land, it will hamper my ability to live my culture. This is my son, and these are my nieces. It's important to me that this mine not go through because they need to learn their culture too. According to a study by Michael Chandler of UBC, Indigenous youth who have a strong connection to their culture are less likely to commit suicide. I think youth are less likely to be involved in other reckless activities such as drug and alcohol abuse, drinking and driving, gang membership, and crime when they are tied to their culture. Culture gives us an understanding of who we are and how we should lead our lives. Who are you to take that away from the youth in my family? In the chapter Hobima, Oil and Suicide, in the book The Dispossessed, Life and Death in Native Canada, Jeffrey York explains that resource development, whether or not it carries with it financial gains, can have horrible effects on the social fabric of Indigenous communities. Generally speaking, mining tends to have disastrous effects on Indigenous communities. I can only imagine how the plan to move an entire lake would impact our environment. Corporations might understand profit margins, but they clearly don't understand ecosystems or humanity. Please don't tell yourself that this mine will benefit Indigenous people, because you are flat out wrong in that assumption. I couldn't make it to the hearings because I'm a teacher in Lillooet. I teach Social Studies 10, which is the history of Canada, and especially Western Canada between 1815 and 1914. Between the appropriation of Métis land, the forced signing of prairie treaties, and the development of British Columbia, it's pretty much a study of genocide in Canada. A common settler myth is that the authorities didn't know any better. This is wrong. Colonial and Confederate correspondence shows time and time again that the authorities were well aware of the impact of unjust actions on Indigenous people, but other people in authority chose their own needs over justice. Sometimes it was because the settler population was unruly and demanding that their needs be met before the needs of Indigenous people, and the authorities used Indigenous people as collateral damage to maintain their position. Sometimes it was because the authorities stood to gain financially by illegally trampling on an established system of Indigenous rights. Sometimes the authorities thought that they would be re-elected if they moved forward with injustice. Sometimes the authorities could advance their careers by going forward with development, whatever the cost. I hope that you scorn these figures and would never perpetuate injustice for these reasons. It was a very racist time where the wants of industry were put ahead of doing what was legal and right. Do we live in a racist time now? Are we still this kind of country? Will this be yet another example that the UN will bring up as evidence that Canada is still a backwards country that chooses limited financial gain over human rights? Some people might say that this is a smart move economically for the region. They are misguided. Profits from this venture will go to shareholders, not people who actually live in the region. People who actually live in the region will live with the short and long-term consequences. The region has a lot to offer in terms of hunting and fishing. Did you know that profits from tourism from fishing is growing more than commercial fisheries? I've met many people from Europe who love the Chilcotin because they love the vast, unspoiled wilderness. Who are you to take that away from them? I think that cultural tourism, like Indigenous peoples in Hawaii and New Zealand have, is an unexplored market and certainly a less destructive venture than what Taseko is proposing. The type of operation being proposed will not provide many jobs. Operations like this require less labor than mining operations did decades ago because of advances in technology. There will be no thriving mining community with spin-off economic benefits if this mine goes through. There will probably be a handful of mine workers, and they will probably live their lives as those who work up in the oil patches do. They'll work in the Chilcotin and take their paychecks elsewhere, to wherever home is for them. Given the specialized nature of the operation, I doubt that a large number of local people will find jobs at the mine. Instead, labor will be shipped in from elsewhere. Don't tell yourself that this has economic benefits for the region. This has economic benefits for shareholders who live somewhere else, and they will not be the ones who have to live with the consequences for generations to come. Please don't support this mine. I've only listed a few reasons why it shouldn't go through because I have to do marking, make lunches, fold laundry, and update my Facebook profile. I don't have corporate dollars backing me so that I can spend my days researching all the reasons why this mine shouldn't go through. I hope that you hear my words, and I hope that you make the right decision.